What's going on, everyone? This is Ace and welcome back to The Reckoning, and today we are just diving a little deeper on my dream teams and possible story ideas for the announced Lady Death's Coffin of Horrors this October. Now, these are only my thoughts on the project, but it won't be released until this upcoming October, so who knows what the end result will actually be. But why not have some fun speculating until then? But before we begin, don't forget to give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, click the bell as well, and feel free to hype it up if you enjoyed Lady Death and Coffin comic. But with that out of the way, let's begin. So I guess let's go over what we know about the project so far. It will be 48 pages, and Brian gave us some details like the book being offered in color and also in black and white. He also stated that there will be 6 short stories with 4 other teams new to Coffin Comics, and it is here where the bulk of my imagination will be focused, as we can pretty much just think of what writers and artists would be great with Lady Death or Coffin Comics characters. And also can't forget that these stories will be horror themed for Halloween. But continuing on, what we've been told up to this point is that Brian said that him and Mike McLean would be contributing to the short stories as well. But I was surprised that he said he had invited 4 new teams to Coffin Comics that hadn't worked for Coffin up to this point, like ever. And I was like, okay, we are still missing a story in the mix. But I'm just going to go ahead and assume that Brian and Mike are working on 2 of the 6 stories, and that's how the numbers even out. And I think Diego Bernard will be doing art for at least one of the shorts, so that is at this point classic Lady Death that we've come to love. Diego's work is excellent when it comes to his output on the chapters of Lady Death. By far, I would say he is my favorite Lady Death interior artist since Coffin Comics has been around. But I will say this, if Lady Death ends up getting 2 stories and one sounds like, it's going to be classic Brian, Mike, and Diego as one team, then let me state that my first wish in that I would love, and I mean love, Brian and Mike to be on writing duty and guest artist to be Joseph Michael Linzer. I have mentioned this before, but I am a huge fan of the Dawn books and a lot of the Cry for Dawn series back in the 90s, but more than anything, I love Joseph Michael Linzer's artwork, both in black and white and in color. His work is striking, it's gorgeous, all at once. His characters have sort of an uneasy essence in their eyes, and maybe it's just me, but a lot of the times when I'm reading his work, he has this ability to have his characters make you feel uneasy, like they may be smiling and they're usually always beautiful to look at, but if you say the wrong thing, or they become triggered by something that they saw on the TV screen, or maybe somebody misquoted a poem, whatever it might be, they flip, become enraged, violent, and monstrous, and you can see this real, just bloodlust in their eyes. I don't know how he does it, but it can really, when you're reading these, make you just take a step back. I think he would be perfect fit, and I would love even just one short story of Lady Death illustrated by JML, because I believe all we've gotten is trading card artwork that he had done for Chaos way back when, and honestly, I need more. So please, I need a full-on story, and this would be my first dream team. So now that we have the 2 Brian and Mike stories listed off, and I am going to go ahead and say that they both can be Lady Death-centric stories, or maybe at least one Lady Death and one Empress Death story. I think that would be really cool. And I mean, after all, she is the flagship character, but I should also note that Brian mentioned that Lady Death will also be the horror hostess, and that she would not be campy, but instead she would be kind of more cold and more evil-like. Which is interesting, as I mean, I obviously do not want Lady Death making Crypt Keeper puns or anything like that. The idea of making her a host that is kind of more dark and cold, I wonder if that is going to set up the theme or tone for our short stories, and if they will be more on the serious side or not. I mean, overall, I'm going to expect a mix of horror and fun, no matter what, so we will just have to wait and see. But now let's move over to my thoughts and wishes on the other 4 dream teams, right? So I'm going to say, to match the Halloween theme, then we have to get the story about the Slaytanists. Yes, that's right, the serial killer supernatural crew based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. The fans have waited long enough. Now, we need to know more about these guys, or at least get a peek into their world and story. For those of you that don't know, this crew of slashers have shown up in the background from time to time and have fought against Insurrectus' progeny. But that is really all we know. What you see is what you get. Literally, we, the Sworn, the fan base, we do not know much about these characters, like, at all. But I will say that they are ripe for the Halloween season. They are like a blend of every creepypasta and slasher film. I'm kind of getting like Puppet Master vibes in there as well. And of course, supernatural horror that we've come to know over the years. And for writing duties, since they are indeed serial killers, I would invite Tim Seeley, creator and writer of Hack Slash, one of my all-time favorite comics. I imagine Tim could really create something fun with these guys. And to bring them to life onto the page, I'm gonna go with probably my favorite artist in comics, like overall entirely. And I truly do mean that. I'm gonna say that is Drax Gal. And while Drax art leans more on the anime-esque style, and he does do a lot more cover art rather than interior art, but regardless, I just find his artwork to be so energetic, captivating, and his choice of angles when depicting action, it's just incredible. So if we have this band of supernatural serial killers, I would just love to see them in action with Drax behind the pen, bringing them to life. Next team I would say would be having writer Sean Patrick Void. Now, admittedly, this is a writer who just recently got on my radar this past fall. I discovered him in the Hello Halloween book by Boom Studios, and the short story he wrote was a little on the creepy side about a town going crazed on this candy and an uncanny and weird mascot for the company. There is a little social commentary in there as well, but overall it served as some good Halloween fun, and I think if we were to have Sean write a Coffin story, then I would like to have him take on Mike Moore, as he is still a teenager and a young character, and Sean seems to have experience in writing about young people's experience as they venture into the supernatural and unknown. I think it would be fun, and the artist that I would choose would be Freddie Williams II, as I absolutely love his line work and his big, incredible, larger-than-life drawings. You cannot tell me seeing Mike Moore drawn by him would be amazing. Now, while I don't think I would say his artwork is scary or like normally horror-centric, he has drawn many various characters and worked under many companies, so I'm sure he could accomplish the task and execute a short horror story. The fourth story might seem like an odd choice, but I have seen this character get mentioned on the Sworn page from time to time, and that would be Pony Death. And yes, this character has been on multiple covers, but has not got an official title or short story. All I know is she can briefly be seen also fighting against Insurrectus' progeny, as when he sent them out to invade other realms, Pony Death's world was also invaded. And I hope I get this right, but Pony Death is like a protector of this realm, I believe, and the beings that she protects are these like cute little skeletons, and so I don't know if you can come up with a cute and maybe eerie Halloween tale involving this creative and fun realm. I don't know. If you can come up with a cute and maybe eerie Halloween tale involving this creative and fun realm, then I say go for it, as it's pretty Halloween themed, and I mean, you already got skeletons as your main population in this world, so you're already halfway there. You might as well. But I cannot think of a more perfect couple and team to knock this one out, and that would be Nightmare Lynch on writing duties and Dan Mendoza on artwork. These two are incredibly talented, and I've mentioned before about Nightmare Lynch's Cannibal Kitty book that had some serious darker tones to it. That could be fitting for a horror-related story, and as we already established, the cartoony nature of this realm and the characters we are dealing with, I think could really be suited well for Dan's art, and the proof of this is the Tales of Ill book that he has done, which is essentially short stories involving his characters like Sad Girl Psycho Baby, Cannibal Kitty, and Sugar Pop. I would absolutely love to see what we could get with Pony Death and Halloween. For my final story and team, I'm gonna say let's go with Hell Witch. She is a fierce character, and as of late has been in hell. Let's see what horrors could possibly be awaiting her in the dark. And knowing Hell Witch, she'll step up and charge head on whatever awaits. Oh, and maybe our girl Angel Vex will make another appearance, but who knows? Now, for writing duties, this is another person I just recently found out about, but her name is KT Hollywood, or otherwise known as Katie Houghton Ward. She was the writer and artist on a story in the last Heavy Metal issue titled Heresy, and it was this badass tale about Van Helsing and, of course, vampires and demons, but the story had a twist, and as you got to the end, you came to learn more about the lore of this world that Van Helsing inhabited, and things were not as you would have expected them to be. But when it comes to Hell Witch, I think Katie could do something really cool here, and for the artist, well, I would love if Jim Ballen were to bring this Hell Witch story to life, as come on, you guys. Jim isn't a stranger to horror from his work on his own Tarot Witch of the Black Rose to From the Darkness books he worked on, and again, the artist on the first ever Purgatory miniseries, Vampire's Dead. His artwork on this is some of my favorite Purgatory work, and there is imagery in there alone that is filled with horror elements, and so let's have him bring that energy to Hell Witch. And lastly, you guys, when it comes to artists, I would absolutely like to give a special shout out and mention to Joel Gomez. He is the lead artist on La Muerta and Lady Gunfighter titles. Now, his work is just incredible, and I feel terrible that I haven't brought him up more and more on the channel at this point, but hopefully 2026 will change that. But his work has the energy, his shadow work is so epic, and I would say he has all the right skills to make a creepy or horror themed book. The only reason why I didn't list him was that Brian said that the teams were people who had not worked on Coffin books before, and Joel is a Coffin Comics legend, so that's why he wasn't on the initial lineup. But I am so down for a Mama Z horror story or a La Muerta horror story, but either way, there is definitely some potential there. But those are my teams and ideas on what I would like to see for Lady Death Coffin of Horrors book to be released this October. I am just so hyped for this, you guys, and I want to know, how about all of you? If you could pick 6 stories or just 1 or 2, who and what would you want them to be? Who are some of the artists and writers you would like to see working to bring these Coffin characters to life? As always, I love hearing your thoughts down below. Hope you guys are getting excited for Swarmfest and Coffin Comics titles to be released in 2026. Thank you again so much for watching, and until next time, take care.